Oh, goodness. So it gives me chills. Wow. And just when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's still like setting in, and I don't know if it ever will, but it's crazy.
Well, we saw the video of you and Coach Cook. Tell us a little bit about what that conversation was like, and then, of course, learning that you were going to be in this thing.
Yeah, I had like another phone call set up with him like later in the week, and so I was really kind of like, I was like, what is this for? And so he's like, oh, I just need to produce more content. Like, do you mind if I FaceTime you and ask a couple questions? I was like, okay, sure. I didn't think anything of it. I'm just chilling in my backyard, And so, he just starts asking me questions. And then that last one you see, I'm like, wait, are you asking me? Are you like, what? And then, I don't know, I just was really like taken back. But it was, and Coach Cook is typically just all business, and so I just was not anticipating that at all. So it was just a really cool moment. So
one of the cool things about not just the volleyball program, but Nebraska in general, Jordan, is no matter where you former players end up, in your professional careers, you always seem to have that tie. Nebraska never seems to leave you. It's things like this, or an honor, maybe come back for a match or whatever. But what's that like for you? You continuing to live out your professional career, obviously, living outside Nebraska now, but to still have, these ties, in this case, a big tie back to the university.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And I think that just, it speaks so much about, just how special it is there. I try to articulate it to everyone that I know, until you actually are there and can participate. You just really don't understand the magnitude and the weight that it has. And so, really, I burst with pride, just being from there and obviously growing up there. And I don't know, it's just something different, but something so special.
When you travel around the world and play the sport that you love, when you're playing with so many new teammates from all over the world, you probably try and find common ground. If they don't know where you're from or know your background, or you tell them you're from Nebraska and you explain it to, what do you tell them? What do you tell them about this place and what it was like, getting yourself ready for this type of career?
Yeah, I just, try to explain, okay, where's the United States? We're right in the middle, and just try to really explain to them, what it's like. It's so hard because a lot of the places that I've played are pretty big cities, right? And so, and even for me, growing up in a very, very small town, hey, we did not have a stoplight. What? For people to, wrap their mind around that, it's just, they can't even fathom, And even for me now, it would be so interesting to live where I grew up a little bit, just because I've lived outside of that for so long. So, but yeah, I just try to really explain how special it is. And I don't know, just coming from that environment set me up so well for long-term success. And I'm just really thankful for, I don't know, I think John has just done such a great job there. Facilitating that and getting people to come in and really embrace the environment. It's something, again, you can't explain to anybody.
Your teams, when you were at Nebraska, were some of the most dominant, if not the most dominant, 4-year stretch of program history. When you're going through that, as you mentioned, coming from a small town, and you're at a big-time program like Nebraska, and you're having all the success, when did it kind of hit you that you were a part of something special, and this wasn't going to just be something that was going to help you your 4 years at Nebraska, but you could potentially make a living playing this sport? When did it kind of hit you, just the magnitude of what you got yourself into when you were at Nebraska?
I was actually thinking about the other day. I was like, how did I get here? What? How did this happen? I really, when I think about when I was such a young kid and I had these goals and what I saw for myself, in the fact that I'm sitting in this chair and got to experience all the things that I've got to experience, it's still it still really hasn't hit me. And that's crazy to say, but I never in a million years thought that I would be able to experience and play at Nebraska at the time that I did with the players that I have. You think about now Sarah Pavin, right? Going to be probably a 2-time Olympian, in beach volleyball. What? How? And I don't know, just how successful. Just reading our record, right? 8 losses. What? That's crazy. I didn't think about that until just seeing it, But I don't know if that even answers your question. Yeah. I'm still baffled by it, honestly.
I mean, it's kind of perplexing to look at, to be honest with you. I've got the release here in front of me, and it is crazy. And I'm sure, like, to you who, you spend, and I get this a lot because I cover every sport at Nebraska, and a lot of the times the college athletes, they don't really understand it when they're a part of it, like when they're living it out. But it's really cool when talking to athletes like you now who've experienced it worldwide, and you get all these uncomfortable situations thrown at you, and the thing that makes you feel better is what you learned at Nebraska, or the comfortability of Nebraska. When you're traveling all over the world to play this sport, what is it that this place taught you that gave you comfort when you were so far away from home?
I think playing in front of a lot of people, I think obviously I was close to home, so that was comforting. But I think just that environment, like playing in that, like it's a little bit stressful, right? And so I think you really have to be on, and you have to, perform in a sense. Always, right? Like you're trying to be the best you can be. And so I think just that situation of playing in that environment, like, sets you up for like long-term success, right? Like playing in the Olympics in front of 15,000 people. That like sets you up, right? Because you're playing in front of 15,000 fans in Nebraska. It wasn't uncommon to see that, and so I think just that environment alone helped bring comfort in times when there was a lot more stress or weight on the docket. But that's kind of what I first think of.
When you talk about the competitiveness of college volleyball, there are insane athletes every year, and a lot of them, do go on to at least try out for the national team with Team USA. But when you're actually a part of that team, and you're getting players from Texas and UCLA and Stanford and Florida and all over the place, what are the typical conversations like when you bring a team together who probably played against a lot of these girls? I know you're not the same age as a lot of them, but when everyone's talking about where they're from and what type of pride you have when you say you played at Nebraska.
Yeah, I think, oh goodness, there are unique conversations like, hey, especially now, like I'm much older than a lot of the people coming in, and so I'm like, wait, where did you play again? Like, what was your experience like? It's a much different environment now going through college than it was maybe when I was going through that, but I think there's just like an insane amount of pride just that we're all coming together as like one nation now. Like, I don't know, that's always like cool for me to think about, is like we were all competing across the net from each other, but now we get to come and like unite as one. Like, I think that's just so like unique and so cool. And I think all of a sudden the conversations go from, hey, I beat you, which I still rub it in sometimes when I talk to Feluca from Stanford. I'm like, yeah, I remember that game, but I think it turns into like, hey, like, what are we going to do on this next point? Or, hey, when are we going to beat Serbia next? Or, things like that. So I think that definitely translates like over time.
I get to ask a lot of football players what it's like to see their black shirt hang on the locker for the first time. That probably pales in comparison to what it's like to see your last name on a USA jersey hanging in the locker. What was your experience the first time that you saw a USA jersey with your name on it and you got to put it on and represent your country?
Oh goodness. I can't even like tell you. Like, obviously I was on the youth national team and junior national team, and just even that, like being able to be picked out of the United States out of so many people, and then to have your name on the jersey, and I don't know how to like articulate that, and I still don't. It still like gives me chills, and I think that's why I'm still playing. I kind of not judge, but a little bit, like when people were playing over 30, I'm like, what's going on? But you really just, you can't get enough, and I don't know, I love like representing like the bigger picture than me, and like what the people that have come before me, and I don't know, I love it so much, and I'm really just so thankful for and honored to wear the jersey every day.
Talking with Jordan Larson, one of the newest members of Nebraska Athletic Hall of Fame. Well, Jordan, typically when we do these interviews, it's usually, boasting about your past, kind of like we have done, and talk about your great experiences. But I'm going to humble you a little bit. And I've never asked a volleyball player this, but I'm intrigued to see your answer, because I'm sure there's a lot of comparisons to Husker football. You get these hotshot recruits that come in to try and play college football, and they're usually humbled. Their first practice or two, there's a kickoff return or something that happens where they go, wow, do I belong here? From a small-town Nebraska product, when you showed up to campus for the first time on a national championship caliber program team, was there a moment in your first week on campus or a workout or something where you look yourself in the mirror and go, do I even belong here?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, there was, oh my gosh. I remember one time a teammate, we were supposed to do like 10 dare crawls, and I did 8. And she was like, hey, we're supposed to do 10. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, okay, I forgot. I just tried to cut corner a little bit because I just was so tired and exhausted. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? Is this really for me? And yeah, it's definitely, it still is humbling. There's some days that I'm like, oh man, do I deserve to be in this gym? There's a lot of those thoughts, and but yeah, it's for sure happens, and it did happen.
Jordan, before we let you go, let's bring it back to this current team right now. As we said, a lot of times you're so busy as a collegiate athlete where you're waking up. Now they're going through this crazy time now, but just assuming everything gets back on track and the volleyball season can play out, from somebody who's been through it and now represented their country and playing professional volleyball, what advice would you give to the current team, or maybe some young girls out there listening about what it means to go through your high school or your college season and just appreciate it while it happens, because before you know it, it's over?
Yeah, for sure. And that's would be my advice, is just, it's really the best time of your life, and you get to get an education at the same time as playing volleyball. And I can't tell you how many teammates of mine overseas, in Turkey or in Russia, that have expressed they don't have that opportunity of going to school and getting to play and get an education at the same time. It's either you play volleyball or you get an education. And so as a nation, we're just so extremely blessed that we get to do both at the same time and still play at a very high level in front of a lot of fans. And so I think it's just so, I don't know, just take it all in and just truly embrace it and study hard, really, make it worth your while, and just have fun too. I think that's also very important.
Jordan, congratulations on the honor. I know you said it hasn't sunk in yet, but hopefully soon it will, and you can come back and be honored and spend some time with Coach Cook and current members of the team, maybe some former teammates, to really enjoy the honor. Congratulations again, and we're very happy for you and proud of you, and best of luck here in this very, very troubling and confusing time that we're in. But thanks for jumping on with us tonight.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me, and yeah, everybody stay healthy and safe, and we'll get through this together. together.